Greetings, mortals. I am Natus, one of the rulers of the underworld, or specifically the ruler of Manga Hell. And today we'll be reacting to the newest chapter of My Hero Academia, chapter 343, Let You Down. I'm guessing this is gonna be our Yama focused chapter considering that say it's Let You Down. I don't know, I said it aloud and sounds like there's some translation errors here. Oh, well, what can you do, I suppose? Unofficials are unofficials. You get used to it after a certain point. So yeah, let's begin with this chapter. Now the first page of this chapter is All for One calling on the phone and as he's thinking to himself, lies won't work on me. If you have even the slightest silver of Mela's intent, I'll know. As an narrator, like the villain's boss makes his move. And my god, just by the looks of the rest of the panel, I can already tell there's gonna be a lot of talking, not much doing at chapters. So yeah, let's get into this very long explanation that will even take 2 minutes in the anime. I wonder what this quirk's actually called. I stole it around the time when the era of quirks first began, although the original quirk has become quite ambiguous. It has certainly grown stronger due to its mixing with my other quirks. If I remember correctly, the original owner was quite a plain guy. His descendant, on the other hand, was much more memorable. The irony is that he has worked side by side with All Might to bring me down. However, this time, the Squirk will bring me victory. Alright, now this is actually very interesting information because we find out that although when he makes deals, he can actually know when someone's lying or telling the truth. Which is, I don't think has actually been like come to play beforehand to him specific, but this is actually interesting to know. And it is actually does make sense why Ovan would have this type of quirk. But the interesting thing is the descendant. Now, I've actually seen two names primarily being passed around, like Sir Nada and Tsukauchi, whose sister, I believe, does have a similar quirk to the one state here. Granted, I'm not sure. I feel like we are gonna have this quirk be revealed what it can do, because all for one even say he doesn't know what it's called. So it can be something as broad as knowing someone lies or something like that. I could honestly see it. Maybe it's something like danger sense, where yeah, you're aware of danger, but in a different type of form. Plus, he did. Although did say it became more powerful, so again, I'm kind of curious on it. Maybe something because it says malice. I do wonder if maybe it has something to do like. You know those moments in let's use Black Clover because let's be real, that's the series that has that the most. You know in Black Clover they a lot of times have like characters like distract someone and someone showing up in the last second. I could see something like that be this quirk, but I don't know. It could also be something completely different. I mean, it's not like we've seen that many scenarios. Like, was all for one shocked when Adshot and Endeavor showed up, or was he like immediately blocking without any issue? I'm not sure. So, anyways, then we get to someone actually saying stuff, and they're like, "Yes, I'm doing fine." Maybe that's all for one, honestly. As in, over thanks to him again, there's nothing sweeter than seeing the seeds of your hard work bear fruit. I could really go for a drink. A 40-year age Macallan ought to do the trick. But if it were aged in a 16-year-old barrel, I'll just have my son pick it up. I'm guessing that's one of the Oyama's parents as like the son picking it up. And then we have all four be like, understood, I'll leave it to you. As then we have all four be like, do you have your son's contact number by any chance? I want to make sure the wine is delivered properly. This isn't now. Wait, this is the conversations they were having? Okay, I get like why you wouldn't make the connection, but can someone explain to me how no one thought of weird how the Oyama parents are like talking? I mean, I say more privately to their uncle who's like, "I want this wine. I want this wine." I mean, just saying, it's kind of weird. Anyways, then we see Aoyama's mom be like, I guess she was done speaking, and she's like, "Of course, in this day and age, how could we forget that? That right, dear uncle?" And then we have Orphan Black. Indeed, I can sense no ill intent, lies, or deception. She's telling the truth. Even if they just been set free in order to be monitored and interrogated after, there should be no problems. This shall be the last act of our little silly little play. As then we see Ayama's mother, which I would know take a close which something that's been brought up to me about Oyama's mother's eyes is that they look very similar to a certain effect of a quirk for a certain Shinzo hair. We are getting to more of an explanation later, but yeah, take a note of how similar those eyes look. So as then we have Oyama's mom saying, "Well then, see you tomorrow." As then we have Overbeck, "Yeah, tomorrow." Which I don't know how he's disguising his voice though. So yeah, anyways, then we got Black Panther, then we got Panda that will look much better in the official translations because now it just looks like a black fuck with two eyes. I'm assuming that's probably just Shigaraki Awakening or something. So anyways, then we get a panel where we get the title as we see like the bit of a over city view. Then we have Izuko running around with his new suit, still wearing the Gran Torino cape. I guess he doesn't want to abandon that. Honestly, I honestly do wonder if they're just gonna have it be stay at in a volume cover or some well in a volume that or Antonio is that because I do question if he's gonna appear yet. I mean, he didn't appear in when they were like sending everyone away, and he hasn't like been mentioned. So I'm questioning if he's supposed to be taken as that. Like we saw him get handing the cape over, but is it the actual dad death? So anyways, then we have Izuku stare at as he sees Aoyama as Aoyama's on the phone. As then we have Aoyama saying, "Thank you for coming." As then we have Izuku like, "Aoyama-kun, what are you doing out here?" As then Izuku's like, "Aren't you supposed to be restrained?" As then we have Aoyama be like, "My parents' lawyer have acquitted me." Seriously, we have that still? I mean, isn't Japan's society completely in ruins? How the heck could I mean, okay, I have no problem with them like getting out. Like I could honestly feel like some like lawyers debating on how to make this case in a way that Ayama could escape or something. But I am questioning how would that go through right now? Like I mean, did the this lawyer like I don't know be like due to the severity of the crime, you have to release him right now because I don't know. I mean that doesn't make any sense. So as then we have Izuku be like, we gotta tell everyone. We can't restart our search efforts now that as I was like, wait, I want to talk to you. As Izuku stops his I was like, it's funny, isn't it? To think that even in this broken society the justice system still exists. True, that makes no absolute sense. And to be fair, there probably about of biases and all that, so I'm kinda curious on how that works still. So as then we have Arma saying, the world is changing, trying to cling to the old ways is futile. As then we have Izuku like swearing, he's like, Ayama-kun? As then we have Ayama be like, allow me to tell you about All for One's true goal. Well, he actually knows it? So anyways, then we have Izuku listening to it as Ayama explains to him. I was like, now that Japan has fallen to what is happening to the rest of the world, the Japanese yen has suddenly tanked in value. Nearly every Japanese company has filed for bankruptcy. This is so the instability has emboldened their activity, and it's all slowly spreading across every nation. If anything, times have become akin to the Great Depression or the first appearance of quirks. I'm guessing the Great Depression is a literal what this is based on, and the first appearance of quirks is honestly I don't think it was ever referred to this, but I guess that is what also happened that time. So yeah, which I guess does make sense if you consider like people having superpowers. Robbing banks would be kind of like number one thing most people do. So yeah, anyways, then we have speaking like a crashing economy, soaring unemployment, and social chaos have already begun to ensure. Wow, did is this chapter in the wrong time period? As then we have Izuku be like, what are you talking about, Aoyama-kun? What do you mean, Izuku? He told you. He's talking about All for One's plan. So they will be like, if nations lose their strength to maintain long-term stability, they'll become poorer and poorer as they fight to immediate security. They'll have no option but to abandon Japan. They have hands full trying to ensure their own survival, which is true. Then we see a hand like throwing a ball, a tennis ball up in the air. So I was like, I guess this is a metaphix. I guess this is a metaphic. I guess this is a metaphorical connection. Is yeah, like in such a world, what do you think would happen if you, for example, a country were to run out of water, but a man wielding a quirk able to generate drinking water appeared before them? The same goes for electricity and gas, even power. In a world that has plunged into decay and destru- destruction, one man is all it takes, the perfect stage for an overwhelming individual with a strong intuition to seize it all is forming as we speak. As then we see the Thanos Bolt transforming into Earth, again symbolically, although it might actually be a quirk related thing because of the way the ball is like is in the light. But again, it's probably just symbolically. As we see the Thanos Bolt in a ball in the hands of All For One. Or Shigaraki, honestly. I feel like both of them have those holes on the hand, and you can tell this hand also has a hole, so it's kinda hard to tell specifically. So yeah, anyways, there I was saying if even one of those things were to disappear, the power balance will crumble down and centuries will have to accept anything that comes to their play. That's as Zuko responded with, that's absurd. There's no way the world will allow that to happen. I don't know, Izuku. Like, you're severely underestimating how useful quirks are and, the usefulness of these types of things. I mean, this is one of those things you don't realize until you actually think about, but in a society that doesn't have water, a guy who makes drinking water would be extremely useful. Like, if, let's say, Africa, there was a person born there with a high level water quirk, let's say it'll be the water version of Endeavor's quirk, that person would practically become the king. Kind of surprising we actually didn't go that route. But to be fair, I could see My Academia having like a sequel series or something like that, or some other series that's focused on things in the world. So I don't really know. If it also, I'm not saying I don't think there's any rumors or anything to say about it, but I just do have my suspicions on it. So it was there with Zubak Plus. We are still here, and then we have. I was saying, I suppose so. That is why this is my final gambit. Instead of I am again super nervous as he's like by his lips like, I'm sorry, but I really do want to make sure Maman and Papan are safe in the end. As there we see behind Oyama appearing all for one. In well, I can only I think this helmet's actually based. Well, his appearance is very similar to how he looked in the when he first appeared during what's the cool when they were fight when the well the when they were I think the villain hideout raid arc, but you can tell a few changes like his under suit is a bit more like styled. It's gonna have a better look at the end of the chapter, as well as that his helmet looks looks his helmet actually seems to resemble more some other character like it does kind of weird. I can barely even see his hat. It's kind of like I think it was just kind of like Darth Bane or something. I don't know. It's just it's odd. It looks different. That's all I'm saying. I don't know who made this helmet though. As if Izuku be like all for one, and she still gets nervous, and then we have Orphan be like, "You deliver him as promised, my Yuga." And now I look at his helmet even closer. His helmet again seems to have more like a skull shape. Like he literally seems to have like a upper part of a skull. Cool design choice, personally. I think it was definitely a wise idea. I mean, I don't know if the reason why they had to play the hide and seek was for someone to build him this, but it was 100% worth it. So, anyways, then we have Olfan be like, it must have been painful backstabbing your friends like that, right? Oh, you must have been in so much anguish, being trusted so blindly like that. As we have Ayama crying even more. As then we have Izuku getting ready to attack. As All For One is like clapping his hands. He's like, you surpassed my expectations. As then we have Alpha saying, the whole spot peel about my final plan was quite marvelous. It wasn't 100% accurate, but still, did your parents tell you all of that? So, yeah, I guess that's not like 100% what Alphon's plan is, but it's pretty much gonna be his plan. I do wonder what the other 10%, whatever the percentage is on the not fullness are we waiting for? Maybe it's gonna be like turning everyone to a normal? I mean, let's be real here. Normals have been a pretty big part in this whole thing, yet we never actually got the details why exactly there are needed to be normals. Outside like very powerful soldiers to attack. Huh. A whole world relying on All for One. With a, I wonder if this is gonna. I wonder if he's planning on turning the world into hell. Honestly, now I think about it, that could actually be the case. And then if I will be like, yes, I was told you promised us our future and our happiness. I question it. And then Izuku will be like, I believed in you, Aoyama. And then we have Aoyama again, like starting to cry, like, I don't think I can feel anguish anymore. And then we have Aoyama quickly spinning around and shooting light beams, like, my dear uncle. And then, this blast actually does hit Ulfon, but he just blocks it with his hand. I'm guessing one of his squares, so maybe. Ulfon is one of those characters that I could honestly just see him base being able to block a few attacks. So as Ulfon's blocks it, he's like, I'm ungrateful, you ungrateful wench. Anyways, then we have Izuku screaming as there's like a smoke or something. It's like, he fell for your act, Yamakun. There was no other way. I was like, there was no other way. We had to draw them out to us. And besides, it was quite a performance from you too. And then we have Izuku like, I feel bad that you had to say such cruel things, even to the point of tearing up. I know, maybe that sounds like a very basic evil monologue thing. I don't really see why that would make him tear up. Anyways, I will be like, I cried because I was too scared. I even peed myself. Guys, this is more comedy. Although, considering the fact Oyama is like completely shaken still, I could see that being the case. As there is back, you did well, Oyama-kun. From as they will have, I'll be like, for Papa and Mama's sake, for everyone's sake, for my sake, I will fight all for one. It's like, I mean, Oyama's one of those characters where it's very difficult to give him like a serious face. Like, even the whole crying faces are like the best they got, but his serious face is like still a bit goofy. Anyways, they have Ofan be like, how disappointing. And they have Ofan be like, well, I'm guessing all the fan base is gonna be like, what is the meaning of this? Anyways, they get like a flashback to a bit earlier we get like a bit of a conversation from All for One. I almost like, as I was like saying, I'll bring it along anytime, it's okay. It's almost like, not in our direct phone calls, nor in my contact with his parents did I sense any trace of lies or ill intent. How in the hell? So yeah, now, the reason why people think that the reason why that I think from Arma's mother is very significant is because the way her eyes look is very similar to Shinzo, and if I remember Shinzo's quote correctly, if you, for example, have give them like let's say you pull up a key card and you have them to once you listen to Shinzo and you respond and you get hypnotized and brainwashed, you at that point do everything he says. So if Shinzo like pull up a key card and says say this, you would very likely do it. It can't be something overly complicated, but let's say repeat after me or like just read this. I read this or something. Although wait, would read this be a bit overly complicated? I mean, okay, this business you cannot. He said it once, but the person didn't know how to read it or how to write it. So maybe reading it would. So maybe reading something would be too complicated, or repeating something would be kind of weird, unless it's like in a private microphone or something. But yeah, it's a bit. But unless if Shinzo improving, because but needless to say, Shinzo might have been the reason why this whole thing went as smooth as it did. For why? As for why the why All for One was fooled by Aoyama and Izuku, well, it could just be he didn't have that quirk activated. I mean, it's not like all quirks are 100% constantly activated. I mean, mutation type quirks are, but emitter type quirks, which is what I'm going to assume All for One is using here, are probably something he has to activate. Unless if it's a quirk where it has to, where its side effect is that it's constantly active. But for I could see that quirk may not have that. Or maybe that just says how good actors Izuku and Oyama are. So anyways, then we have All For One taking off his jacket. It's like, bah, who cares about that now? True. As All For is like, even if this was a setup, All For One for is mine. With inches is were mere inches away from me. Search is able to track the position of weak of and weak points of those it has been used on before. The heroes that Tomura had a good look at in the previous battle, as we get rid of a flashback with seeing anyone who was in that battle, is like a miles away. They would never make it in time. As then he says that as he does his whole weird gloop thing and just summons a bunch of villains out. It's like, that's why you will never realize that I had this much cavalry with me. It's already far too late. As we see, I'm guessing two Nomus popping out. The rest of the six are probably gonna pop out as well, but I can only see like two. I can only confirm one Nomu and one hand. Today we see Shigaraki in the foreground in wearing a weird like a kind of a like a ripped cape or like a black scarf. Darby is surprisingly wearing like what looks like a weird white ripped apart kimono. I can't really see it good in the pants area, but this could be like the trench coat or something he's wearing. Then we see Toga there. We see a guy who I think might have been one of those assassins that All-For-One hired to take on Deku because of the dreadlocks. And I think one of them did have dreadlocks, so I might be exaggerating. Then we see that like Quill, was wielding a sword. Then we see someone who reminds me of that guy that All-For-One beat to the shit out of when he was like racing around the city that was giving Mount Lady and Kamai Woods problems. And then I think next to Toga we see that guy who killed Midnight. And maybe that's Spinner in the far background, but I can't really say. But similar to how I think one of them might be Mustard, but again I can't really say for sure. It's probably not. There's probably just like characters just have civilians who have similar looks to them. But yeah. So, anyways, then we have Oyama saying, "You see, Maman and Papan also told me other thing." As then we see like a black claw being behind Oyama. As All-For immediately knows is like the thing that. Anyways, then we have Oyama back. The thing that All-For hates the most they have thinking to themselves, Kage, how are they using his quirk? Nonetheless, they've saved me the trouble of getting him back. As in, from the back hole, we see a blonde-haired boy, a half, one quarter of a blonde-haired boy. And that boy is most likely Monoma. So I'm guessing the explanation is probably gonna be either Arya, Monoma copied Kage's quirk, which from my remembering his quirk, he should be able to copy it, or they are just like teasing us and Kogi actually switched sides, although considering the way All-For-One spoke makes it sound like he has like full control over it. Although I'm not exactly sure. We will see how it is in the future. As then we have I was like, is the fact that the world knows Japan isn't finished yet, for there still shines a light beam of hope. If Japan can lead the way, the rest of the world will follow suit. That's why we will defeat you right here and now. As we see Oyama screaming this, as we see Serious Deku began on his monstrous form. Miracle popping out with her robotic arm and leg. We don't see that good of a leg, but we see a pretty good shot of her arm. With Davos in the foreground, being all serious. Then we see one of his psychics there. I think it's the one. No, it's the one who's always next to the bandage one, but not that one. Then we have Najere there. We have Fat Gum, Sun Eater, Wash. Supposedly his state. That Beast hero who we've seen a couple of times, but never a good one, as well as Adshot, and I think there's one more up there, but there's just pretty much just a decent shot. Like I'm assuming the next battle, the next chapter we're gonna have like two double spreads, just showing us the forces of heroes and villains, or the main forces. I'm thinking something to take a note of is that we don't actually see any of the class from A, but I'm guessing that might just be, let's be real here. We are saving it probably for the next chapter, or maybe down the line or something. Like, I don't really know. We don't see that many once you actually look at things. We just see like a few spattered around. So I could easily see there be more. Plus, their plan involved separating them, and right now the three main forces they want to separate, Dabi, Shiraki, and Ofuan, are all right there. So I'm assuming they have plans for the divide and counter strategy. Like I could easily see like the next chapter, them like sprucing through everything and like sending every villain away for the heroes then to follow something. I don't really, something like that. I could easily see it happening, like kind of like a reverse Uno of what happened in the USJ incident. But yeah, that's the end of the chapter. So yeah, this chapter was again mostly just talking and talking and talking, which, not really the best thing to have after like weeks of just this, but at the very least, we are ending the whole building stuff up and we finally begin with a fucking fight. Because the captives are literally the armies of heroes and villains are literally together right now. Why the hell would they be talking about building things up even more is beyond me. Like, I guess we could cut away from what they're doing by see what people in the shelters are doing, or the plan in detail flashback or something like that. But again, I feel like this could be the end of the whole thing. And hopefully, Coach doesn't waste too much time on that explanation or something. But yeah. Anyways, that's the end of the chapter. And I hope you guys like this video. I hope you leave a like, subscribe to see more videos in the future. Leave your thoughts on the chapter in comments below. And with that said, I cannot wait to see all of you mortals next time. Goodbye.